Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If we haven't met before and this is your very first video from me that you are seeing, then it's nice to meet you. My name's Laura and I am the creator here at Myrtle and Robin. I have a not so serious fun project for us all today, and that involves cross stitch. So if you want to go ahead and craft along with me, feel free to do so. This is going to be a bit of a longer one as I take you along with me on my process. So I don't talk much about my professional life on here. I've mentioned I'm a biologist, that's about it. But another key point here that I think is important for you to understand where this project comes from is that part of my job is I plan projects for other people, and I have other team members that do the same thing. And in one of our very early morning meetings when people were pretty giggly, the coffee hadn't kicked in, a coworker said something. She said, if you want me to buy the ingredients, you need to share the Krabby Patty secret formula. And it was such a hysterical phrase in the moment and was so relevant to a lot of the struggles we go through that I thought to myself, this is not something that we can forget. It is such a relatable phrase just in, everyday life as well as the professional world. I have to put it somewhere. I can't let us forget it. And I thought to myself, how am I going to do this? Am I going to use the Cricut? Am I going to ask someone to laser cut it? But after a little bit of thinking, I realized I feel like this is perfect for a cross stitch because it's just a little bit sassy, but still kind of classy in its own way. And I think it would be so adorable with some stitched burgers. I mean, that would be perfect. So I have started on this journey of figuring out how to make my own cross stitch pattern. I've done it before for images. I've never done it before with letters. So it's definitely going to be a bit of a challenge. I found some resources on the DMC website that are free, which is what you see me using here. And I found a font that I thought was just dramatic enough to make the joke even funnier. So what I am doing is I am writing the letters that I need out by hand on graph paper, and then I'm going to use that mapping to go through and start writing out the pattern. I like doing my pieces. I mean, I've never done it with letters before, but when I have a pattern that has multiple components, I like doing each component first by itself on graph paper and then trying to put it together so that I don't have to constantly redo a bunch of things. I have like an easier, smaller, bite-sized map first. So I figured that will work with letters too, just as much as with anything else. So that's where I am going to start is I'm going to start just drafting out all my letters, and then we're going to start putting everything into sentences so we can have a final pattern piece, find centers, figure out our spacing and all that, because I think that might take the most time is figuring out the spacing between letters, words, and lines, because we'll probably have to do different things for each one. So I'm gonna go ahead, and I've got a lot of work, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, so this project has legitimately been making me just a teeny bit crazy. I have been struggling quite a bit with this font. Actually, let me grab the font real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. Sorry about the level of disorganization. I didn't realize how difficult putting my own pattern for this was going to be, but this is the types of fonts that I was using from the DMC website to create my pattern pieces for this cross stitch pattern. So majority of what I am doing is using this sort of font, and then for the Krabby Patty portion I was using these with some edits to both, because there are some letters where I just really wasn't liking how they looked when they were next to each other on paper, and some of them also are just not the most readable. Like this is the letter K, I don't know that I understand how this is the letter K, but apparently it's the letter K, and I really didn't like it. So I have been going a little bit crazy trying to make this work, and this is how I do cross stitch a lot of times if I'm doing something myself, is I just have to do it by hand on paper first. Otherwise, it just looks wonky. So as I kind of showed you in a previous clip, I wrote all the letters I would need out so that I had a reference guide, and then I slowly and painstakingly wrote those letters together on graph paper. And as you can see, like, I definitely had some mistakes. I just taped something over them to give myself a better, idea of what it would look like with my edits. So once I had this all together, I was pretty set that this was how I was going to space everything, and I was going to use these fonts. But, this part in particular was kind of wigging me out. I just wasn't 100% a fan of it. And I realized that these letters are going to be really huge. Like, yeah, this graph paper is not to scale, but this piece was going to end up being like almost 12 inches across, and I forget how many inches tall, and that wasn't really what I was going for. So I decided to do some swatches to just make sure that this is what I wanted. So here is the swatch that I did of a few letters. See if I can get it to focus for you. A little fuzzy today for whatever reason. Maybe if I zoom in here. Okay, that looks a lot better. So this is my first swatch using these letters, and it's okay, but I realized that the more I was looking at, particularly this one, it just really wasn't the vibe I was looking for. I didn't like it that much. So I actually went to the library and I got this book. And I found some alphabets in here that I did like quite a bit. So I then went and I messed around with one of the country fonts, actually two of them. So one smaller one for the majority of the cross stitch that I'm doing, and one bigger one. And I liked this a lot better. In particular, I really like the A versus in my original, the A, the B, the A and the R. See, look, it's confusing. I thought this was a B for a minute. The A and the R and the B all look really similar and kind of blend together a little bit too much, versus this one I thought had pretty good differentiation. And I liked it a lot, but I found another one that I decided to try also. Sorry about all the back and forth. Going handheld on this is a little hard. Okay, so I tried this font too. This is one of the antique fonts, and I liked the R on this a lot better than this one. I also like how small this is. I feel like it's nice and cute and a little bit more to scale of what I wanted. I mean, just look at these K's in comparison to each other. If I had gone with my original plan, this was going to be a beast of a piece, versus this is readable, it's cute, and it's not that bad. The A in this font though is not great, so I did have to do some edits with the A for this to look more like that, because I just want to show you what the A in this one looks like. This is a really cool book, by the way. Let me try to find it. It's in the antique alphabets, not the Victorian, the antique. We're in the country section. I'm gonna cut this way better because this is kind of a mess. Obviously, I didn't prepare beforehand. Oh, it's right here. Okay. Look at this A. Props to the author. That's really creative. But like, I would not be able to read that at all on my piece, and I think it would just be really confusing. I even tried drafting it out on paper, and it wasn't good. It wasn't what I was looking for, at least. So I did edit that one, but this is the set of fonts I've decided to run with, and I went ahead and I did my writing, and I'm gonna lay it out here. It's not as legible. I didn't highlight everything like I did with the other one. I just marked it out, but excuse me. I'll make this nice and pretty for you guys too in just a minute. This is the font that I decided on. That's from this swatch. And this is kind of the pattern that I've worked out, and along with some of my edits, like the A here I've changed in order to be a little bit more clean to read. I'm still not necessarily like super happy with how big this space is between those two letters, but I think I might need to just let that go. Same thing here with this F. I tried to make sure that there was one space between where this letter ends and one space where this letter starts, but I think I might be just a little bit too far out for this guy. I might need to just fold it in a little bit. I think that will be fine for the spacing. So, you know, a few final edits, and then I'll go through and I'm going to count everything and identify where my middles are for each line, and then tape this to another set of paper to create my final pattern piece, just so that I don't have to think so hard while I'm going through and cross stitching. So those are my next steps in order to get this ready to go. I mean, even that S, oh no, I think that's fine. I might just get rid of one of these squares on that comma. I think that's a little bit too high. Okay, so in other words, a few last minute edits, and then I'll tape it all together onto some more engineering paper that I took from my husband's stash, and then I guess we'll go ahead and get to the cross stitching part. I did my best to work out all the math ahead of time because personally I hate trying to figure out the math while I'm stitching. I just feel like there's so much more room for error, there's a little bit more stress, and I'm always trying to get it just perfect, and oh, I hate taking a seam ripper to cross stitch. It just feels so wasteful. I don't like it. Or scissors for that matter. I just hate taking out stitches when I'm doing cross stitch. So unfortunately, some of the math didn't work out perfectly just because of the number of stitches per letter. I couldn't get things exactly symmetrical, but I'm hoping that it ends up being okay, because sometimes, and I know this from experience, what looks centered and symmetrical is not actually mathematically perfectly symmetrical. So things looked pretty okay on paper, maybe a few minor edits here and there. I think the edits I talked about before when I was looking at the pattern pieces, I'm going to figure out if I want them as I do the process instead of figuring it out before, because I do think things will end up looking a little bit different on the fabric than they do on paper. Plus I'm adding borders and other decorative pieces that I haven't shown you yet, and that will change the overall design too. So fingers crossed that it ends up working out okay, even though things aren't perfectly mathematically centered. We'll just have to see. And so I guess that means it's time for me to keep on stitching, and then I'll check in with you guys as I progress through the project. Talk to you soon. Oh my goodness, guys. I definitely had a few moments there where I wasn't sure I was gonna like this project. It was a little ugly, not gonna lie, it was a little ugly in my eyes. I had to take some stuff out, but those little burgers, or I guess Krabby Patties, oh my gosh, it kills me every time I look at it. It's so cute. I have been cackling, not even giggling, not even just laughing. I have been cackling over this project for like a solid 10 minutes. It's just so freaking cute and so funny that I just can't stop laughing. It's more than anything I imagined for this. For a project that I completely started on a whim that I didn't have on the docket this month, I am so over the moon about how it turned out. Absolutely adorable. Look at that little burger. Oh my gosh, that is so cute. I just can't even. And I know my coworker, I've decided I'm gonna give it to her. I'm not gonna keep it for myself. It was really tempting, but I'm gonna give it to her, and I know she's going to absolutely love it. It will brighten her whole day. So that's this project for you guys. I know things are a little bit chaotic in the energy space here and there, but we got through. We made something adorable, and that's going to bring a lot of joy. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm glad I was able to take you all along with me. So, well, I guess that's it. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.